Let me introduce myself before I make this media statement for the purpose of the general public, so that all can understand the situation and the standoff that has been perpetrated by the former acting or caretaker managing director of the National Housing Corporation, Elizabeth Bowada. Over the last few days, and in fact yesterday, this former employee of the National Housing Corporation, Elizabeth Bowada, saw it fit upon to herself to cause a commotion and in essence took siege of the National Housing Corporation headquarters located at the ATS next to the airport, Port Moresby, with and in the presence of some rogue policemen and band of supporters that Ms. Bowada apparently misled all of them into believing that the National Court, under a judicial review that upheld her appeal to that particular court, that she was legitimately reinstated as the caretaker managing director of the National Housing Corporation. This has caused a commotion to have happened at the National Housing Corporation headquarters at ATS when Bowada led her illegal people into the offices of the National Housing Corporation, threatened and removed public servants, chased them away, threatened them, and almost caused physical harm to the staff of the National Housing Corporation. Actions by law amount to criminal actions, and that the National Housing Corporation and our lawyers will actually get statements and get all the photo recordings of Bowada and her supporters' illegal intrusion into the offices of National Housing Corporation. What she has, as he claimed or she alleged, that there was an order in place that came out from a judicial review that had effectively nullified or made void my appointment as the managing director of the National Housing Corporation, and that in my place she has been reinstated. As far as my lawyers and I am fully aware, when the orders were eventually given to us, the orders were very explicit. From the 5 or 6 orders that was handed down by the courts, expressly stated that the Bowada was never reinstated. The orders were very, very explicit. Under the judicial review, the process into which the appointment of the managing director of NHC as a statutory organization may have had errors and omissions. So she challenged those processes, never on the pleadings or even the reliefs that she sought was for her to be reinstated. As far as I can recall, when the position went for public advertisement, she was not even acting or caretaker managing director at that particular point in time. And as far as I know, she was never shortlisted by the Public Service Commission, and that was recommended to the National Executive Council back in 2021. And for a matter of fact, she was not even interviewed by the Public Service Commission. So from these facts, it is very, very strong that she has no official standing to do what she did. But the orders that was given under the judicial review, these orders are now subject to our lawyers' appeals on the grounds that there were so many errors on it in those decisions. And there were flaws that were identified that were brought before the Supreme Court for the appeal process to take its course. Under such scenario, our learned friend Bowada would have simply restrained herself using common sense to apply and let the courts to deal with the matter to its conclusion. Apparently, she chose to do what she did yesterday, took the law into her own hands to destroy a government or a state institution and public servants that were working in that organization. So I want to make it clear to those who believe that the orders handed down by the courts under the judicial review as reinstated her. That is, in fact, wrong in law and in facts. She was never reinstated. Until such time the court determines and the court concludes and comes up with the decisions and on the operations of law and processes, and to maintain the status quo, I will remain as the managing director who has been properly appointed when all processes were comprehensively and conclusively done and followed by all concerned state instruments, up until it went to the appointing authority, which is the National Executive Council, under which the Prime Minister, Honorable James Marape, is the chairman. And from the short list of 3, they have chosen myself and appointed me. I am a senior public servant who is law-abiding. I do not take law into my own hands. I do not do all these kind of crazy things to public institutions. I have served the people and government of Papua New Guinea in the public service in various roles and capacities for almost 40 years. Never one have I blemished my names and my record. I uphold the law and I do things transparently, honestly, and I am a believer of accountability. I do not commit fraud. I do not have any criminal records. I do things with fear and within the laws of Papua New Guinea. I don't break new rules. I do not indulge in corrupt activities. And that has been my positions since I started my public service career when I completed university back in 1990, coming up until now. So when Bowada and supporters entered the room, entered the National Housing Corporation, I did not get involved in any commotion. I did not try to stop her. Whatever she did, I consider that it was a criminal act, an act of a person who is so desperate to take laws into her own hands and to mislead the good police force into believing that she has a case where she was reinstated by the courts. Insofar as the decisions are concerned, there is nothing on those orders that says that she was reinstated as the acting managing director of the National Housing Corporation. What she did yesterday in forcing her way into the office of the managing director, threatening and physically abusing staff, some of them women folks, women and girls, public servants, even men being abused and sworn at. These are unbecoming of a person who claims to be a woman leader. Their actions portray the real person she is. She should have accepted and respected the laws of the land. And as a learned person whom I believe that they say she's a lawyer by profession, integrity as a lawyer is now under question. Her conduct actually is a criminal act. Over the last 2 days, we are collecting statements and evidences, photographs of the mayhem that she caused, she led, that caused so much threat to the organization. Therefore, the National Housing Corporation headquarters has been shut down by her actions, by her wrongful actions and conducts with the supporters who went in there with all sorts of weapons to take over the office. We will make sure that we will not stop until Bowada and her supporters are identified, charged and arrested for their criminal conducts. That's why I want to come out publicly that the appointing authorities are there. I am one of 6 defendants on this matter that she took to the court. She took the National Executive Council, the state, the Public Service Commission, Department of Personnel Management, and other institutions of government to court, including myself. We will defend ourselves vigorously to make sure that the status quo remains as it is, and that normalcy is restored back at the state institution. At this juncture, I want to appeal to the police force. In fact, the hierarchy of the police force, the Incident Central Command, the Office of the Met Soup, all the police station commanders, especially Gordon's police station, for which 80 years comes under, and every other policeman and police units, that this is a case involving the state. And as a state arm, we need to perform our duties with integrity and with total neutrality. This is my appeal, that no more policemen or women must be used by private citizens for their own personal gains and coming to destroy government institutions that Bowada did yesterday. It is uncalled for, it is a shameful act, and she must be shamed for what she had done. It is now, the office is now closed, our staff are under threat. There is so much anxiety. Staff have been threatened on the roads with NHC vehicles. And all this nonsense must come to an end. So my humble appeal to the police hierarchy that all policemen must stand down and allow the cause of justice to take its course. If we, the current management, need police assistance to protect the facility, we will request police assistance through the proper channels. This is my appeal. And to those who are carrying out their illegal activities under this Bowada woman must refrain because they are being misled. Our lawyers are currently appealing the case. We will obtain a stay order over what the judgment or whatever that was handed down, and we will correct it. And as soon as the decisions come out, I will release another press statement. As it is, the status quo remains. Our Minister for Housing, Honorable Dr. Kobe Bumariong, is on site with the current management, and he is also made his position very clear that he will not allow any outsiders to come in and interfere with the operations of the National Housing Corporation. And until the courts give its decisions and clarity, then actions according to the orders that will be issued thereon will be taken and implemented accordingly. In the interim, the status quo remains as it is. So I now appeal to the police as well as to Elizabeth Bowada and her supporters not to again intimidate, interrupt, and come and threaten staff at the National Housing Corporation. Thank you, everyone.